Understand that we have 1 million battle casualties from the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. 1 million young men and women who answered our nation's call and who are today living misery. They are committing suicide at the rate of 22 a day, which means we have lost more to suicide than we have to enemy fire. I see on a daily basis additional people like police officers, firefighters, victims of crime. We have literally 500,000 people brain injured to the point they go to the hospital every single year. There are millions who are living with brain injury unnecessarily. We see it in workers' comp. We see it in falls. We see it in motor vehicle accidents. And we can help all of those people. The key therapies we're using, the core therapies we're using, such as hyperbaric oxygen therapy, are known to rebuild the brain. We've been treating with hyperbaric oxygen for brain injury for 77 years. Since 1937, that's a long time. Now let me talk about the Tesla Energy Lights, the hyperbarics, and the Nano Vi system together for a minute. It's been really interesting to see that when we can use them like the design is, have them use the Tesla Energy Lights first, it has a calming effect on them. I have a number of people that are claustrophobic for very good reason. We're actually saturating somebody with 7 times more oxygen than normal. It's a 700% increase in the tissue oxygen in the brain and the body. But that doesn't mean it all gets used by the body. You're going to exhale a large amount of that. The Tesla lights also give us better oxygen utilization by separating out the red blood cells so that they can carry oxygen more efficiently and you don't get some of the clumping effects. We treat a lot of stroke patients here, and if you think about a typical stroke patient, there's a lot of clotting that went on that can create these strokes. And so by allowing the red blood cells to be more separated and independent of each other, they really have a positive impact on circulation. We did 1,742 treatments after we got our new chambers open that you see behind me from May 27th to July 10th. That's 40 treatments on average every day. So I get a little bit busy running chambers. And yet I hear in the background the Tesla Energy Lights running all the time. We have them free use here. And the Nano Vi system is also free use, so they can go to utilize their time effectively while they're here until a chamber spot opens. We do have in the background 5 more chambers ready to come online, and then we'll be at 120 treatments a day at that point.
Let's talk about PTSD specifically. You know what PTSD looks like, acts like, tastes like, smells like, because you see it all the time.
Yes.
So, characteristically, in terms of the way people are behaving, what are the things that you're noticing now versus before?
Characteristically, when people come in for treatment the very first time, these combat vets, they'll oftentimes have a very set jaw. They'll be holding it together. They'll have an underlying anger. They aren't sleeping well because of the nightmares. They aren't sleeping well because of issues with body pain. And as we start treating them, those things correct reasonably quickly. Usually the first treatment, they start having sleep improvement. If they have photophobia, that starts improving. By the 5th treatment, their headaches are under control, and by the 10th treatment, they can sleep through the night. And what we see is a major enhancement of that with the Nano Vi and Tesla Energy Lights because of that calming effect and those releases you're talking about. They get a very significant grief release and PTSD relief as well. We also use very good nutritional supplements here and counsel everybody to do so that we have the building blocks people need to rebuild that neural structure. If you look at any of the SPECT brain images on our websites, you'll see what we're talking about with restructuring the brain. It actually comes back, grows back in, and recovers in a way that hasn't been shown in any other technologies. We know from 25 years of clinical experience in hyperbaric medicine that 80 hyperbaric treatments is a complete reset of the brain. We can take 100 homeless vets, young vets, living over at the transitional housing unit, for example, like we're going to be doing in Lawton, and we can treat them, and 50% of those are going to be able to go back to work after 40 hyperbaric treatments. 80% of them are going to be able to go back to work at 80 hyperbaric treatments. And yet, when we add these additional technologies that we have combined together here at Patriot Clinics, we will enhance that number. We also improve performance. So, for example, with the first 40 hyperbaric treatments, you get 15 IQ points back. That's the difference between a high school dropout and a college graduate. 15 IQ points equates to $20,000 a year in income. We add about another 10 IQ points in the second 40 treatments for a total of 25, which gives them another about $10,000 a year in income. What about that 20% though that can't work still after treatment? I want to enhance the improvement in the people that do go back to work and make them more productive, but I want to start making inroads into that other 20% that couldn't go back to work. And I clearly see both the Nano Vi, the Tesla energy lights, and the other therapies we use here as key in that process. So one of the things that impressed me when I was in DC about hyperbaric oxygen therapy itself is if it was fully implemented in our medical system costs would be reduced by a minimum of 20%. But what really surprised me when I started getting into the numbers is realize that I was in charge of every single program that the federal government has for brain injury under my jurisdiction. Every one. I knew how much every program cost, how many people there were involved in that program, and by the way, I'm including going to jail in that because 61% of everybody in county jail has an untreated brain injury. So if we actually began as a society to treat these people as we are here at Patriot Clinics, we would be able to reduce the prison system in about 10 years by 50%. That's significant. We would be able to reduce disability in Social Security by, again, about 50%. So the impact we have on people is significant. How about nursing homes? I treat World War II vets here. Guess where a lot of them are today? They're in nursing homes. They don't know who their families are. And yet when we start treating them, as we did with our vet from that landed on Iwo Jima, he couldn't speak when he came in. And today he's carrying on a conversation with me about Eleanor Roosevelt. That's really a surprise. And even for me that see it on a daily basis, I see the improvements that happen, the change in gait, the change in the way they walk, the way they move. One father said that he cannot forget the first time his daughter, after her stroke, was now able to hug him with both arms because of hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And he sent us, he's actually a pastor, and he sent us a bunch of his parishioners and other combat vets, and he and his wife have been treated. You see, here at Patriot Clinics, I do something very unique. Most hyperbaric centers, you have to pick which family member you're going to treat. Here, I treat the whole family. We've prevented quite a number of divorces that way, because all of a sudden, she starts recovering, he starts recovering, and all of a sudden they say, gee, there was a reason I fell in love with you. I can see that that's back. Gee, you're not as dumb as you used to be, or angry, or any of those other kinds of things. And so to see families reunited, to see the youth improve. We just had the experience of one of the autistic children we're treating who said words, go to saying sentences. And now she's alert and asking her mother, driving her mother crazy as I'm sure I drove my mother, asking her what everything is and wanting an explanation. She showed her a hinge on our locker the other day and wanted to know what the hinge was called. That was not at all behavior that you would have expected from that child when they walked through our door. So being able to transform young lives, being able to restore these veterans from Vietnam, from World War II and Korea that have challenges still after all these years, giving them some peace, and as they put it, putting them at ease. You see, we have two basic positions in the Army, in the military. You're either at attention or you're at ease. And these men and women have been at attention for a very long time.
Is that because the parasympathetic got locked up in the fight or flight area?
Yeah, if the parasympathetic gets locked up in flight or fight, it really has to be relaxed. And because of the therapies we use here, that takes place.
So have you seen any direct interaction between using the lights and that issue?
Yes. It really helps ground people back in themselves. It is, actually, I run from literally 5:30 in the morning till about 10 at night, almost 7 days a week. And I used your lights and the Nano Vi system to recharge myself in the middle of the day so I can keep going. And it's, everybody wonders how come Duncan's over on Dr. Duncan is over on the table. Well, I'm over on the table because I want to keep going for the rest of the day. And it really helps me do that. Much more so than just going up to, the bedroom I have upstairs and sleeping there for an hour. I'm much better off if I spend that time on the lights and the Nano Vi system.
That's very cool.
I would tell the Tesla conference members, thank you for keeping Tesla's memory alive. Nikolai Tesla gave us our modern civilization like we have it. And he never gets the credit he should have. I would also pass along that at each of the Patriot Clinics that we're building, we're planning on putting in Tesla energy lights, the Nano Vi system, and each of these integrated therapies here like we have them, with hyperbaric oxygen as the core therapy so that we can saturate the body with 7 times more oxygen than normal, and then allow those other systems to utilize that oxygen for greater healing. At this time, we have been asked to come to a number of military bases and start putting in the Patriot Clinics there, because we are reaching more people than anybody else in the nation just here in Oklahoma City.
What is the one thing that you're lacking that you would like to see come into existence to offer other people?
Here at Patriot Clinics in Oklahoma City, I literally have to raise $20,000 every month to keep the clinic open. For that $20,000, we are doing about $400,000 worth of hyperbaric treatment, just the hyperbaric part. And that is the least expensive hyperbaric treatment in the nation. When we add these other therapies to it, we are able to reach a greater level of recovery in our patients, which means their lives are improved. But we do have to have money. And it's really amazing. My oxygen bill is about $6,000 a month. But you know, if I had 600 people send me $10 to the International Hyperbaric Medical Foundation at our website, hyperbaricmedicalfoundation.org, we would have enough money to pay our oxygen bill every month. 600 people. That's really not very many. And the other part is we are expanding. We have 2 more locations ready to go here in Oklahoma. As I mentioned, we had Fort Huachuca, we had Fort Hood, and we had Fort Benning, Georgia, all call me within this last week and want us to set up Patriot Clinics there. Because we've been able to show that thanks to the Tesla energy lights, the Nano Vi system, and the other programs we've integrated like the Ion Cleanse with hyperbarics, with acupuncture, we've been able to demonstrate to the veteran community how it improves these veterans' lives. We've been able to reduce their pain, their disability, and literally many of them have not needed their disability payment anymore, or been able to go back to work. One of the funniest ones was I had a younger man, he was about 40, he had a stroke, came in, he kept saying, I don't see a difference, I don't see a difference. I kept seeing the change in his gait, the change in his attitude. One day he comes in and he says, I need to change my schedule. I said, really, what happened? He says, I went back to work for the first time in 5 years. I said, okay, now is it different? He said, yeah, now it's different. Because we were able to get him to the point he could be gainfully employed again, give him his skills back. And that is almost indescribable when you see the transformation in these people's lives. So, if you want to make a difference, if you want to change our healthcare system from a managed care system that only worries about your symptoms to an effective care system where we actually treat the things that are wrong with people so that they can go back to full functionality, support the Patriot Clinics and the Hyperbaric Medical Association.
Would you tell the audience where they can go to find a way to contribute their part?
They can go to hyperbaricmedicalfoundation.org or patriotclinics.com and click on the donate button, and you will see the pathway then to send your contribution. We accept contributions on a monthly basis, and that is always helpful if we have good, steady income coming. And that's why we've told people even $10 a month buys 2.5 doses of oxygen for some veteran.
And in terms of value on the open market, what would 2 sessions normally cost anywhere else?
A hyperbaric session is rated at the Medicare cost of $321 a treatment.
So what you're saying is that $10 it would buy $642 worth of treatments?
It does.
That's because you are offering that to the veterans at no charge.
That's correct. We don't charge anyone for hyperbaric oxygen therapy at Patriot Clinics.
I'd say that's a good return on my investment.
It is. And the thing of it is, we're actually giving somebody $25,000 worth of hyperbaric treatment every time we treat one person through 80 hyperbaric treatments.
If there are those out there that are listening to this would like to open and work with you in the Patriot Clinics, how could they participate in their state or city area?
As they contact their fellow legislators and the VFW chapters and the American Legion chapters, Purple Heart, etc., they can have a tremendous impact on getting this into their communities. Each state is going to have to do what Oklahoma did and step up and confront the federal government and make the federal government start paying for effective care for these young men and women. First thing you have to have a Patriot Clinic is having a willing physician and a willing physician team. Then you have to locate a building, and we know where a lot of hyperbaric chambers are, used hyperbaric chambers just like the ones behind me. The ones behind me sat in a warehouse for 10 years. Now they are treating veterans every single day and changing their lives. So what's better, hyperbarics in a warehouse or hyperbarics actually delivering oxygen to people? So we have a plan that we will contact people, we will send to people. They can contact me at williamaduncan@msn.com, and we will send them back the blueprint on how to get started with a Patriot Clinic in your area. There are several levels of Patriot Clinic. You can have the small community one that has 3 chambers in it capable of treating 30 a day, or you can have one of the larger ones like we're building here and like we're having Lawton that'll be able to treat 120 a day once they're fully operational. All of the larger ones will have the complete integration of all of the different therapies we do. Well, one of the key things about Patriot Clinics is because we are a nonprofit organization and a nonprofit medical clinic, our wonderful volunteers actually keep everything going. We do have core leadership. We do have to pay our doctors and our accountants and those kind of people, but the patients and the others who come in and volunteer, we currently have 3 volunteers that are pre-med students who just started with us this last week. And they say, gee, every place else we went to volunteer, we got to lick envelopes. Here, we're actually watching chambers and seeing the daily transformation of people as they heal. you have to understand also that these young men and women were not broken when they joined the service. In order to be a service member today, you must be in the top 50% of your age group. The bottom 50% do not qualify to join the military. So this is America's best and brightest. This is the future of America. These are the people that stood up and answered our nation's call. And they're committing suicide at the rate of 22 a day. That is a stupid loss of entrepreneurial labor that creates the inventions of the future. We can rescue them today. We can rescue them and their families, and we have an obligation to do so. I urge you to go online to our website, hyperbaricmedicalfoundation.org or patriotclinics.com, and put in the money that you can to help rescue these men and women today.